Now the next question is related with the front. A transition zone in the atmosphere where an advancing cold air mass displaces a warm air mass. Which one of the following front is described in the above statement? Okay, so this question is related with front. So first of all, to understand what is a front, imagine air mass. Imagine air mass in the sense air having, or large packet of air having same property of temperature or humidity, right? In the sense the air which are lying idle over the polar regions, they will generally be cold and they will be having less moisture in it. At the same time, the air forming over the tropical land, they will be more warmer and they will be having more atmospheric moisture in it, right? So imagine a region where this cold air mass is sharing a boundary between the warm air mass, right? As it's given in the figure, right? So like this boundary zone or this convergence zone of contrasting air mass, that we call it as front, right? So front simply means the convergence zone between two contrasting air masses, okay? And based on like the movements of this air masses, there can be different kinds of front, like a warm front, cold front, occluded front, or stationary front. If none of the air mass is moving, they are staying there itself, right? Then we call it as the stationary front. And the naming of these fronts, they are given according to which one is more aggressive and which one is moving. If the cold air mass is moving towards the warm air mass, we can say that it's cold front. And if the warm air mass is moving towards the cold air mass, then we can say that it's warm front, right? So like in the case of cold front, as I said, as you can see in this picture, right, the cold air mass is moving towards the warm air mass, and the cold air mass being more denser, they will always stay over the lower atmosphere. They cannot be uplifted. In all the case of front, be it warm front, cold front, or occluded front, in all the cases, the warm air mass is being uplifted. So like in cold front, if I am saying cold front, it denotes that the cold air mass is more aggressive. The cold air mass is moving. Okay. So the cold air mass moving towards the warm air mass, and the warm air mass will be uplifted and will be having torrential rainfall created because of the cumulonimbus clouds. And such frontal regions we call it as cold front. So coming back to the question, a transition zone in the atmosphere. Here the transition zone denotes, if you are considering the boundary zone, one having cold air mass, another one having warm air mass, right? So this zone is having huge temperature difference. So it will be having as much as say 10 degrees Celsius temperature difference between these regions will be there. So like that's why it's given as a transition zone. So like a transition from cold air mass to warm air mass. A transition zone in the atmosphere where an advancing cold air mass. So here it's given as advancing cold air mass. So that denotes the cold air mass is moving. As I said, which one is moving, the front is named accordingly. If the cold air mass is moving, we'll be naming it as cold front. And if the warm air mass is moving, we'll be calling it as warm front. So since in the question, since in the statement, it's given like the advancing cold air mass. So here the cold air mass is moving, right? We can eliminate the warm front. In the sense, in warm front, we'll be having the warm air mass advancing towards the cold air mass. So this cannot be the answer. And so both A and B, that also cannot be the answer, right? Now what left is B as well as C. B is cold front and C is occluded front. Now there is difference between an occluded front. I mean the occluded front cannot be visualized as normal warm front or cold front. They are different. In the sense, in the case of a warm front, we will be having two contrasting air mass. Warm air mass, cold air mass. Warm air mass moving towards the cold air mass, right? That we call it as warm front. And if it's cold front, we'll be having cold air mass moving towards the warm air mass. So in both of these fronts, warm front or cold front, we are having two contrasting air masses. But this is different from the case of occluded front. During the formation of an occluded front, we will be having two fronts created. In the sense, imagine these regions, right? Imagine these disturbance. So here you can see, if the warm air mass is moving towards upward or northward, at the same time the cold air mass is moving towards downward or southward. So what happens is that here a cold front will be created, and here we will be having a warm front. So the same region we are having both the fronts. Okay, so such kind of region having both fronts and the cold front uplifting the entire warm air mass, that we call it as occluded front, right? So in the statement it specified like the advancing cold air mass. If it was given as cold front moving towards the warm front, then it could have been occluded front. So here the answer comes out as B, cold front. The main keyword here is the advancing cold air mass. So if it was given as advancing warm air mass, answer would have been the warm front. Okay. So another case you can say like if the warm air mass is being uplifted instead of this cold air mass, some other phrase in the sense it says like the warm air mass is being uplifted, then which one of the following front is described in the in the above statement? Then it could be all three, like the warm front, cold front, or occluded front, because in all the cases of the front, the cold air mass is staying over the surface itself and the warm air mass is being uplifted, right? So in this question, answer comes out as cold front.